Hey guys, Matt the Material from Borderline Gaming, back tonight with the second installment of Nighthuant Tactics. Tonight's episode will be about command traits. Short and sweet. I'll try and make most of these videos as short as possible, but still go into as much detail as I can. That way, if anyone wants to search, if someone, for example, wants to build a list or whatever, they can just search the sections they're looking for. So for example, command traits or spells, allegiance abilities, whatever it is, they'll have the opportunity to do that a bit easier than just doing one whole long video. So tonight's episode, we'll get that started pretty quick. I'll bring it up, the command traits, and I'll take you through what we have. So the first command trait is Hatred of the Living. You can reroll failed hit rolls for attacks made with his general's melee weapons unless the target has the death keyword. This is one that most heroes in our line don't really benefit from too much because most of our unnamed heroes aren't that killy. But I have been having a lot of fun actually with this Hatred of the Living. I've been pairing it with a Khan Wraith, and that Khan Wraith I've also been given Shadow's Edge Blade. So it just means that every 6 to hit is 2 mortals from his weapon, and then the Shadow's Edge Blade does D3 mortals on a 6 to hit as well. So any 6s are 2 mortals plus D3, which combine this with the Hatred of the Living. He becomes a good little hero sniper. You can drop him down from the underworlds, get that 10-inch charge, hopefully roll a 6 with your rerolls, doing 2 mortals plus D3, and then his other 2 potentially should be hitting. So I've had a lot of success with this, just with that Khan Wraith, and just to have a bit of fun. Apart from that, there's not a lot of other options to take it on and get the full benefit, and to be taking this command trait over other command traits in our list. But yeah, that's a good little combo that can be used, and you can do the similar combo with all the other unnamed heroes too if you wish, just depending on whether you're building a fun list or super competitive. Having the Khan Wraith isn't super competitive, but it can actually win you games. So if you drop down and kill that important support hero your opponent's relying on, that can change the tide of the game. So our second command trait is Terrifying Entity. At the start of the enemy movement phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of this model. If the roll is equal to or greater than that enemy unit's bravery characteristic, that unit must make a retreat move in the movement phase. Now this one is not so great. You're only rolling 1 dice for the enemy unit, so with most units in the game, bravery 6 or higher. I know with Nighthuant you get to make your enemy -1 bravery, so yes, you can bring it down to a 5. So it's very situational. Your hero has to have survived combat from your previous turn, so that means because you're within 3 inches. So yeah, it's one of those command traits that it's very situational and not the best. I wouldn't personally choose it, but if you can make a build from it, go ahead. You could probably have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, with most units in the game now having bravery 7, 8, 9, or 10, it's not useful at all. So command trait number 3 is Lingering Spirit. Add 1 to this general's wounds characteristic. Can be okay, depending on who you take as your general. If it's a general that you're not worried about taking any other one of these command traits, it might be okay. Give that 1 extra wound. Combine it with one of our artifacts that gives you a 5-up Deathless Minion save. So your hero will go from a 5, because most of our heroes have 5 wounds, could go from a 5 to a 6 with a 5-up after save. So that extra wound could keep your general alive for another turn or whatever in the game. So yeah, if you're not worried about taking any of the other command traits, this one's a good one just to chuck on your general. So number 4 is the spiteful spirit. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound to this general that was inflicted by a melee weapon. On a 5+, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound after all of its attacks have been made. Not fantastic, but you can actually make your general a kamikaze unit. Just run him into the middle of a big block of your opponent's models that have a ton of attacks, because with the new rules for that, they never used to be around, these rules for Age of Sigmar. You used to choose whether you wanted to attack or not, but now if you're in combat you actually have to attack. So if you run your general into the middle of a unit of marauders or something that's got three attacks each or whatever it is, and they do a ton of wounds, yes, your general's going to die, but you could be rolling 20 dice, and on 5-ups, the attacking unit suffering 1 mortal wound. So potentially you charge your general in, do a bit of damage on the charge, and then just die and do a heap of mortal wounds as he dies. So it's not fantastic, as I said. It's probably not the most competitive choice from a competitive point of view, but it could be a lot of fun just to watch your opponent have to hurt himself. Our 5th one is Cloaked in Shadow. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made with missile weapons that target this general. This is actually quite good, especially now that the meta has changed and become more inclined to shooting, especially with the release of Lumineth Realm Lords. You've got even your Tzeentch Flamers, you've got your Seraphon with a heap of shooting now. This can be actually quite good because it combines with Lookout Sir. So if you're within 3 inches of a unit with 5 or more models from your army, they're going to be -2 to hit from shooting. So that is actually really quite good. It's obviously with Lumineth, they still get their mortal wounds on 6s to hit with their shooting, but against most armies, making 6s to hit, because most things hit on 4s when shooting, so 6s to hit is really, really good to keep your general alive, especially if you're keeping him behind a screen or whatever it is to protect him. It's also might be good to chuck on if you're using, say, a Spirit Torment as your general, and he's behind your Spirit Host or whatever it is to buff your army. It's just going to keep him alive a lot longer, and then he's healing himself potentially in the Battle Shock phase, so it's going to be very hard for your opponent to kill. The other one is maybe like a Dreadblade Harrow or something that's jumping around the board taking objectives. If he's your general, you bring in units to him to grab those objectives or get those charges, but that also would be good for him, because then if your charges fail and then you're just sitting there, you're not a sitting duck, you're -2 to shoot. So yeah, can be really good. Situational once again, but depending on your build and how you want your list to work, it could actually be a really good option. And the last one, Ruler of the Spirit Host. So at the start of your hero phase, you can pick a friendly summonable Nighthuant unit within 9 inches of this general and return D3 slain models to that unit. The returning models must be set up within 9 of this general. So this is one that I've taken quite a lot. It's very, very good if you're running Spirit Host. So with the wording, you're actually bringing back models, D3 models, not D3 wounds. So if you potentially bring back 3 Spirit Hosts, that's 9 wounds worth of models. So it's not as good if you're bringing back Chain Wraths or something. So the 3 Chain Wraths, it's neither here nor there. But bringing back 3 Spirit Hosts is really good, especially if you combine this command trait with a Black Coach. You're bringing back 2 D3 Spirit Hosts a turn is really, really good. I use this a lot. I tend to use it on a Spirit Torment, have him as my general. because he's always played as a support hero anyway, so you want him protected, and you normally run him around with a big unit. I run him around with a big unit of 9 spirit hosts. Those spirit hosts can take a charge from just about anything, and they just survive, and then he just brings them back in your next turn, combined with, say, a black coach as well. Have them set up behind the lines, and then in your turn the black coach can charge over the top of those lines after bringing back those extra models. But yeah, same thing if you've got, for example, a Dreadblade Harrow as your general, and you've teleported him across the board, and you've brought a unit with him, and then you get a charge off and you take a few casualties in the process. He can just bring them back in your next hero phase, potentially, if you're still alive, or however it works out. But the ruler of the spirit hosts, from my point of view, is probably the best option as a command trait for our army. But once again, it just depends on how you want to build your list. As I said, Cloaked in Shadow is also really good if you're in a heavy shooting meta, which what we've seen lately is shooting is becoming more and more popular, so Cloaked in Shadow could also be a great choice as well. The other 4 are just, probably Terrifying Entity is probably one that you're probably not worth worrying about. If you're in combat with something, that whatever that is, that's probably has already killed you anyway, or is going to kill you, so the chances of you making it run are very slim, and if you fail to make them run, they're just going to kill you in that second combat phase, so it's not so good. So yeah, they're the 6 options. I've sort of tried to give you ways of using each option, but yeah, hopefully after listening to that, you can work out what you want to take, and what you think is the best option. So that'll conclude this episode. So thanks for watching again, and as previously mentioned, if you liked what you saw or whatever, just click on the likes, click on the subscribes. The more people that like and comment, the more people will get to see all these series. Plan to start getting out a few more in the next few days. Also, a huge shout out for our first patron, Dave Blenner. Thanks, mate. If you also would like to become a patron, there'll be a link below in the description. You can jump on there. Any small amount will be hugely appreciated. It just helps go towards keeping the channel going and paying for some better equipment as we try and make some better battle reports and just make the whole thing a lot better. But yeah, once again, thanks for watching, and see you soon.